The final match of the Springboks Northern Hemisphere Tour is shaping up to be one of the most unusual test encounters of the year, with both Wales and South Africa set to field significantly weakened sides when they meet at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff on Saturday. The international window has officially closed, which means that players based at clubs outside of their respective unions are unavailable for selection, creating a selection headache for both coaching teams. However, the impact of these absences couldn't be more different for the two nations involved. Wales will take to the field without 13 of their frontline players, a staggering number that strips away much of the experience and quality that head coach Warren Gatland would normally rely upon. These aren't just squad players or fringe internationals we're talking about. These are established test match performers, players who would walk into the starting 15 under normal circumstances, players who bring leadership, experience, and game-breaking ability. The Welsh coaching staff now faces the unenviable task of cobbling together a competitive side from what remains available, knowing full well that they're going up against one of the most formidable teams in world rugby. The Springboks aren't immune to these challenges either. They'll be without 12 players themselves, a significant number that includes some truly world-class talent. Malcolm Marx, the recently crowned World Rugby Men's Player of the Year, won't be pulling on the green and gold jersey this weekend. Neither will the likes of Thomas du Toit, Boan Venter, or the suspended Lou de Jager in the forwards. The backline absences are equally notable, with Handré Pollard, Manny Libbok, Jesse Kriel, Cheslin Kolbe, and Edwill van der Merwe all back with their clubs or provinces. Add in the powerful presences of R.G. Snyman, Pieter-Steph du Toit, and Grant Williams, and you're looking at a massive chunk of experience and talent unavailable for selection. On the surface, losing 12 frontline players seems almost as devastating as losing 13. The numbers are nearly identical, so surely both teams are equally disadvantaged, right? Wrong. The critical difference lies not in the quantity of absent players, but in the quality and depth of the squads behind them. This is where the Springboks' meticulous planning, investment in player development, and sheer wealth of talent becomes apparent. While Wales are scrambling to fill gaps and might be forced to call upon relatively inexperienced players or those who haven't featured regularly at international level, the Springboks have battle-tested alternatives waiting in the wings. The depth that South Africa has built over recent years is nothing short of remarkable. It's a deliberate strategy, carefully crafted and executed by head coach Rassie Erasmus and his management team. They've created an environment where rotation is the norm rather than the exception, where players understand they might not start every match, but will be called upon when needed, and where the standards and systems remain consistent regardless of who wears the jersey. This approach has created a squad where the drop-off between first choice and second choice is minimal, and in some positions the competition for places is so fierce that arguments can be made for several different players. Consider the forward pack. Yes, losing Marx is significant, but the Springboks have other hookers who have proven themselves at test level, players who understand the systems and have delivered under pressure in big matches. The same applies across the board. For every big name that's absent, there's a capable replacement who has been integrated into the squad culture, who knows the game plans, and who has likely already featured at some point during this tour or earlier in the season. These aren't players being thrown in at the deep end. They're seasoned professionals who have been preparing for exactly this kind of opportunity. The Springboks' rotation policy throughout the season has been both praised and criticized in equal measure. Some argue that it's disruptive, that it prevents the team from building cohesion and understanding. Others counter that it's precisely this approach that has allowed South Africa to maintain such high standards across a grueling international season. The evidence increasingly supports the latter view. When the Boks make 6, 7, or even 10 changes from one match to the next, the performance level rarely drops significantly. The systems click into gear, the players execute their roles, and the results keep coming. Wales, unfortunately, don't have that same luxury. Their player pool, while certainly not lacking in talent, simply doesn't have the same depth across all positions. When you remove 13 frontline players from any squad, you're going to expose weaknesses, And for Wales, those weaknesses are likely to be stark against opposition of South Africa's caliber. It's not a criticism of Welsh rugby or the players who will represent their country on Saturday. It's simply the reality of resources, investment, playing numbers, and the structures that underpin each nation's rugby ecosystem. The timing of this match couldn't be worse for Wales. They've endured a difficult year, winning just 2 of their 10 tests, and they're crying out for a statement performance to restore pride and give their fans something to cheer about. The Principality Stadium, with its roof closed and its passionate supporters in full voice, can be an intimidating venue for visiting teams. There's magic in Cardiff on international match days, an atmosphere that can lift the home team and unsettle even the most experienced opponents. But atmosphere alone won't be enough to overcome the gulf in available resources for this particular fixture. South Africa, by contrast, come into this match with momentum and confidence. They've won 11 of their 13 tests this year, and last week's victory over Ireland in Dublin was a statement of intent. That performance showcased everything that makes this Springboks team so dangerous. The scrum was dominant, the maul devastating, the defense organized and aggressive, and the tactical kicking game was executed with precision. It was clinical, professional rugby at its finest, and it sent a clear message that even without some of their star names, this team remains a formidable force. For the neutral observer, there's an element of sadness about this situation. International rugby should be about the best players available going head-to-head, testing themselves against the finest opposition. When 13 players from one side and 12 from the other are unavailable, it diminishes the spectacle to some degree. We won't get to see certain matchups that would have been fascinating. We won't witness the full strength of either nation on display. But that's the reality of modern rugby, where club commitments, player welfare concerns, and financial considerations all play a role in determining who takes the field. The Springboks will approach this match with professionalism and focus, treating Wales with the respect that any test opponent deserves. They know that complacency at this level gets punished, and they'll be aware that a wounded Welsh side on home soil, fighting for pride, can be dangerous. But they'll also know that they hold all the cards. The depth they've built, the experience spread throughout their squad, and the systems they've refined over years of competition give them advantages that go far beyond simply having quality players available. For Wales, this is about damage limitation and trying to find positives wherever possible. It's about giving younger players exposure at the highest level and asking them to step up in the absence of more experienced teammates. It's about showing heart, passion, and determination even when the odds are stacked against you. These are admirable qualities, and there will undoubtedly be Welsh players who seize this opportunity and make a case for future selection. But realistically, against a Springboks team that will be motivated to complete an unbeaten tour, the task looks monumental. The announcement of both matchday squads will be fascinating. How does Warren Gatland piece together a competitive side from what's available? Does he go for youth and energy, or does he prioritize experience in key positions? For rassie Erasmus, the selection might actually be more straightforward despite his own absences. He has options, genuine quality options, in every position. The challenge isn't finding capable players, but deciding which capable players get the opportunity this weekend. Saturday's match might not be the spectacle it could have been with full-strength sides, but it will tell us plenty about the depth and resilience of both nations. For the Springboks, it's a chance to demonstrate once again why they are considered one of the world's elite rugby nations, capable of winning even when rotating heavily. For Wales, it's an opportunity to show fighting spirit and perhaps unearth some new talent for future campaigns. But make no mistake, when it comes to the resources and depth available for this particular encounter, South Africa holds all the aces.